Hello there. I thought today we could look at a part of my collection that's seeing a little bit of resurgence in popularity with Chapter 14 of The Mandalorian, the Dark Trooper. Now, of course, the version of the Dark Trooper that you see in The Mandalorian is actually the one from an episode of Rebels that Grand Admiral Thrawn uses as a sparring droid. It was a neat nod to old-time fans of Star Wars because they use a DT designation and they look similar to the Dark Troopers from the 1995 PC game Dark Forces, one of my all-time favorite PC games. It's got a great story. I don't know, the graphics don't really hold up for today's standards, but still a lot of fun. And it's available on Steam, usually pretty cheap if you wait for a sale. Now, action figure wise, they came out in 1998 in the Power of the Force 2 line with this one. This was they call the Phase 2 Dark Trooper. In the game, this is the one that you fought the most. They're billed as a battle droid, but this was the finished product of what they had. They had a jetpack so they could fly around. They shot missiles at you. They were pretty tough. The figure itself is pretty cool. It's rather large compared to its counterparts of the day, but basically the same amount of articulation in the arms and legs. Has this ginormous blaster, but very cool for its day. The Power of the Force 2, because it was the expanded universe line, they had like thicker card backs, and the back of the card you could kind of open up and had different scenes, because there was some from like the Dark Empire comics. There was a Leia and Luke from that, and they had like a comic scene in there. For this one, it actually had basically your HUD from the game and a blaster that showed you like your ammo and everything. It was pretty interesting for its time. I still have those around. They're packed away because I don't usually display them like that. But so these came out in, like I said, 1998 in the Power of the Force 2 line. It did see a resurgence 9 years later. It was re-released in 2007, part of the 30th anniversary collection in their Saga Legends line. It was a straight repack of the figure, but for those that missed it in Power of the Force 2, could pick it up, and it was like I said, still holds up. I still display him on the shelf just because I really like the Dark Trooper. I'll put him to the side. The next one to come out was actually the Phase 1 version here, and like I said, looks more like a type of battle droid. And this one came out in 2009 in the Legacy line. It was an expanded universe wave that came out, but it's got a shield that does come out of its hand like that, and you have a lot more articulation than the Phase 2. You have swivel wrists and good elbow there, ball jointed shoulders. You have swivel hips, ball jointed knees, ball jointed ankles. Also has this attached sword, melee weapon. These in the game didn't shoot at you; they did come at you, and man, they were tough to kill. It also has this ball jointed head. Forgot to mention that. Sorry. And again, it's got some great detail and looks really good top to bottom. And then a fantastic figure. And then 2 years later, also in the Legacy collection, Walmart had 2 waves of what they called a droid factory. And the second wave of this, you get the Phase 3 Dark Trooper. And in this one, they said this was like a battle suit. The Phase 3 was advertised as a battle suit because it was the big boss at the end of the game, General Rom Mak. In this battle suit, you had to defeat him and get off of the ship before it blew up. Again, these came. There were 5 different packs. I actually display most of the figures from that wave because there were a couple you just couldn't get anywhere else, especially the droids, which I'll talk about in just a second. But like one figure set came with the arms, another figure set came with the legs, one came with a torso, one came with a jetpack and the head, if I recall correctly how they broke them down. But again, this is another great figure. It's got similar articulation to a swivel wrists and yeah, ball jointed. These come off, but come off rather easily actually. But the ball jointed shoulders, you have a ball jointed hip, or I'm sorry, torso, swivel head, swivel legs, ball jointed ankles and knees. And again, excellent detail. This jetpack and oops. Like I said, so when you start moving these figures, sometimes this shoulder pads come off kind of easy, but it's not too bad. Like I say, it displays very well with the rest of my Dark Troopers. I'll take a look at some of the figures that came with this. Like I said, I do display most of them. The first one set was a General Grievous with the droids CB 3D. Typical astromech, but it had an interesting paint job. And I don't display that Grievous because it was a straight repack of the General Grievous that you got from the Revenge of the Sith line. It was a decent figure, but they did come out with one in the Legacy line that was much better, and that's the one I display on the shelf. Another pack was, and I don't display either of these figures, it was an Anakin Skywalker and a Cortosis battle droid. So it was a repainted super battle droid from the Revenge of the Sith line, and it was an Anakin Skywalker that was a straight repack from a different comic pack. Doesn't really fit with any of my displays, but on the third set you got this Boba Fett, which looks like the animated line Boba Fett, and this droid here is a BL-17, and these came together, and it's a definitely great droid to have around in the background. It looks pretty cool, and I think it was from the Droids cartoon. He had a protocol droid that he used often. And then the fourth set was actually a Darth Maul, and this droid here, which is I5YQ. And again, these are the protocol droids. They're all pretty much the same except for this one, who had, I think it's supposed to be a bomb in his chest. But you open these doors, and there's that little box in there, and that does come out, but I need like tweezers or something to get it. And but again, these were great droids. You couldn't really get them anywhere else, but they have great articulation and swivel wrists, ball socket joints, the elbows and shoulders, swivel hips, ball and socket, ankles and knees. And then the last set, this is great because you couldn't get them anywhere else, was from Rogue Squadron. You have Karan Horn and his droid Whistler. And it was really great because it never came carded in anything else. This was the only way you could get him, was this exclusive. And plus, it was also the last parts you needed to build the Phase 3 Clone Trooper. So I'm hoping that with the popularity of The Mandalorian that we'll see maybe a resurgence of Dark Troopers. I would like to see the Dark Trooper version that they use in the show for The Mandalorian. I would love to see a release of that. And if even still, I would love to see them release this guy. I don't know if they would do another quote-unquote build a droid, or if they would release it as a figure in its own right. I mean, like I said, it's a fantastic figure. It looks great on the shelf. And maybe also the Jedi that he contacted would be Kyle Katarn, who was the protagonist from the Dark Forces series. And in the second game, another great game, and also available on Steam, he becomes a Jedi in the middle of that, and it's a great game. But that's pretty much it for today. Hope you liked it. If you did, leave a comment. Give me some feedback. I really take it to heart. Also, leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and may the Force be with you.